Hi, I'm Marnie Ferree, and I am privileged and honored to be on the faculty for the PSAP program through ITAP, the Pastoral Sex Addiction Professional. I'm so excited that ITAP is providing a specific vehicle to bridge that gap between the CSATs, the clinical folks, and a client's faith community, and within the PSAP model at the moment, starting off with the Christian faith community. I have been a Christian counselor for 25 years, and I love to see great resources and training coming into churches across the country. There's so much misunderstanding still about the issues around sexual addiction, sexual trauma, attachment, recovery, all of the things that as CSATs we take for granted still are kind of difficult for many communities of faith and particularly many clergy people to wrap their mind around. So to provide a way that clergy folk can come and get really good, just basic frontline training. I know in the Mod 2 that I teach, we talk about that basic, so you just know to do no harm and how to support a client in their healing journey with a CSAT, but to support it within that spiritual community. So I'm so excited about PSAP. I love to be in the Mod 2 faculty and working with great colleagues there. My slice of the teaching part in Mod 2 is first to talk about just the nuts and bolts of cycle of addiction and then all the recovery that needs to accompany that. So to teach pastors about how there are real reasons why even people of faith who do want to honor the God of their understanding, who promise to stop, who prayed to stop, why they can't stop. And to really unpack that for them and give them some specific knowledge and then some tools to be able to support the work with the CSAT about all the basics of recovery, to help pastors become more comfortable with regular 12-step programs. There are some faith-based programs for recovery. We encourage that, and I believe there's no substitute for regular so-called secular 12-step programs. I know that I and many of the clients that I work with found God in a 12-step program. So to help pastors understand that, all about recovery and nuts and bolts of that and what does a recovery look like. I also get to talk about two other of my passions clinically. First is to talk about family recovery. Addiction is a systemic family issue. And in Mod 1, they talk more about the partners of addicts, but in Mod 2, I get to talk about the children of addicts and the whole family recovery. Talking to kids in a healthy, age-appropriate way about addiction, about recovery, about how addiction has impacted themselves and their own family is just such deep and fascinating and really redemptive work. The second topic that I'm so passionate about is much more of a downer than what to me is the exciting part about talking with kids and family recovery, and it's the topic of impaired clergy, clergy sexual abuse, and clergy sexual misconduct. It is rampant in our churches. The Me Too movement, the Church Too movement is illuminating just the heartbreaking violation of trust that too many clergy people have been involved in and are still currently involved in. So we do a good bit of discussion in Mod 2 about what that is. The simplest definition of the difference, clergy sexual misconduct is when a clergy person is struggling at some level with sex addiction. Maybe the person is looking at pornography. Maybe they are crossing the flesh line and visiting prostitutes. They are doing things that are inappropriate both within their faith and moral system, but within the trust that has been placed in them. Clergy sexual misconduct, it needs to be addressed. A step beyond that is clergy sexual abuse. If that clergy person is acting out with anyone within his congregation, I use the pronoun his because most of the clergy people who are committing sexual abuse are males. If his affair is within anyone within his congregation, it is categorically, it is automatically clergy sexual abuse. That betrayal of the enormous trust that is invested in that person because of the role. And it requires steps beyond treating your average sex addict, around disclosure to the congregation, around boundaries, around really leaning into helping the victims who have been so very specifically betrayed. So we do a whole section around clergy sexual abuse and misconduct as well in Mod 2. It's really a fabulous program to equip clergy people across the country to know how to respond to what Patrick Carnes has called for years the tsunami of sexual addiction. Clergy people are helpers and people who want to be responsive in very practical and faith-based and spiritual ways to their congregants. And the PSAP program is offering them a vehicle for doing that. If you're interested in taking advantage of this amazing resource, go to itap.com. They have complete information about the PSAP program and would be glad to help you and have you be a part.